Picture Leningrad in 1941, during the most harrowing siege of World War II. The city was completely severed from all supplies, thousands perished from starvation in the streets, and desperate souls resorted to consuming leather belts and old books. Yet, in the basements of this silent city, a granary capable of sustaining the entire population remained untouched, over 200,000 precious jars of crop seeds. The scientists guarding this vault trembled with extreme hunger every day, yet not a single one of them opened a specimen. They chose to starve to death beside these seeds, determined to preserve for humanity this genetic treasure gathered from every corner of the globe. And the master of these seeds sat at that very moment in a dim prison cell, facing the judgment of death. His name was Nikolai Vavilov. Tonight, by the soft flicker of the hearth, let us walk through his true life with this story, one you need not labor to remember. He was the founder of modern phytogeography, a plant hunter who measured the Earth's meridians with his own footsteps. Why did this genius, who saved hundreds of millions from hunger, ultimately fail to save himself? In the quiet of the night, let us slowly unveil the mystery of this scientific martyr's fate, a destiny as resilient as a seed and as silent as the earth itself. Vavilov's life seemed bound to the specter of hunger from the very moment he stepped into the Moscow Agricultural Institute. Born into a merchant family in the late 19th century, he witnessed the scorched, barren lands caused by drought and pests during the Tsarist era. Through those young, melancholy eyes, agriculture was not merely production, but the highest philosophy of survival. He realized that if the land was to sprout undying hope, one must find the most primitive plant genes hidden in the wilderness. In 1916, a young Vavilov packed his bags and embarked on his first global expedition. He traveled from the Gobi deserts of Persia to the plateaus of the Pamirs, searching for ancestral wheat strains in corners unmapped and forgotten. To him, those wild stalks struggling in the crevices of rocks were more precious than the gold in palaces. He commanded a magnificent perspective. He pondered why disparate civilizations, isolated from one another, chose similar crops as their core sustenance. This solitary, transgeographical method of research forged in him a unique historical view of seeds. He endured cholera, kidnappings by bandits and near-fatal falls during his travels, yet at the sight of a singular strange weed, his eyes would turn as clear and serene as a child's. In the 1920s, Vavilov became the pope of the Soviet scientific community, establishing the All-Union Institute of Plant Industry on an unprecedented scale. Like a commander endowed with divine power, he dispatched hundreds of plant hunters across the globe, while he himself remained at the most perilous front lines. He crossed the Andes on the back of a mule, delved into the depths of the Amazon rainforest, and trekked hundreds of kilometers under the scorching Ethiopian sun. He amassed the world's most comprehensive collection of seed specimens, from Mexican maize to Indian rice, and from Afghan watermelons to Chinese tea. He firmly believed that truth resided not beneath a laboratory microscope, but within the undisturbed wrinkles of Mother Earth. Due to his staggering talent and vast erudition, he became the darling of the international scientific world. Even elite American scholars felt honored to correspond with him. During those most bountiful years, his office was perpetually filled with sacks of soil and grain from across the world. Sleeping only 5 hours a day, he spent his remaining time organizing genetic maps that could transform global yields. His theory of the centers of origin of cultivated plants, built upon absolute evidence, allowed humanity for the first time to understand how our dinner tables had been gently constructed by nature. Over thousands of years. Yet, cracks had begun to form unnoticed. An opportunist named Lysenko intruded upon the hallowed halls of science. It was an era of extreme fanaticism and distortion. Lysenko employed a crude, cheap pseudoscience to cater to the tastes of political power. He claimed that by simply altering the environment, one could instantaneously transform one plant species into another, even boasting that crops could flourish in the Arctic. To Vavilov, such absurdities were the ultimate profanation of life sciences, a suicide of logic. He did not merely refute these claims in academic forums, he steadfastly refused to trade such lies for political security. Vavilov once wrote with tragic indignation, "We may be sent to the stake, but we shall not renounce our loyalty to the facts." This supreme commitment to integrity was viewed by powermongers as pathological arrogance and obstruction. As Lysenko gained the absolute trust of the highest authorities, a ruthless campaign to suppress Vavilov began. His international ties were severed, his funding slashed, and his former colleagues, gripped by panic, chose betrayal or silence. He was like a solitary petrel flying through a storm, knowing a precipice lay ahead, yet refusing to fold those wings that soared in pursuit of truth. In the summer of 1940, Vavilov was abruptly arrested during an expedition in western Ukraine, a long premeditated clandestine operation. He was cast into Moscow's darkest prisons, facing trumped-up charges of espionage. During hundreds of interminable interrogations, examiners mocked his global travels as nothing more than a waste of foreign currency. Yet even in the sunless interrogation rooms, Vavilov maintained an astonishing dignity. By the time his death sentence was commuted to 20 years and he was transferred to Saratov prison, he was so weakened he could barely stand. Cruelly and ironically, as the war-induced famine seeped into the prisons, the very master who vowed to eradicate global hunger found himself succumbing to extreme malnutrition in a mold-infested cell. His daily rations were reduced to a bowl of watery soup and a small piece of black bread mixed with sawdust. In those long freezing nights, he likely faced the cold stone walls, mentally tracing for the last time the seed distribution maps he had gathered in Ethiopia. His body bloated and withered from vitamin deficiency, yet his unyielding heart attained an ultimate serenity at the terminal of hunger. On January 26, 1943, Nikolai Vavilov closed his eyes amidst violent retching and exhaustion. At the time of his death, he weighed less than 35 kilograms, 70 pounds. After Vavilov's passing, his name vanished from Soviet encyclopedias for 12 long years. However, truth cannot be interred forever. Just as a seed eventually pierces the heavy layers of soil, his legacy emerged. By the 1950s, when the bubbles of pseudoscience finally burst, people rediscovered the greatness of this son of the earth. The seed bank he left behind survived the 900 days of the siege of Leningrad, miraculously preserved by scientists who guarded it with their very bodies. After the war, these seeds were sown across the world's farmlands, transforming into the warm bowl of rice or the soft wheat cake on our tables today. At the cost of a lifetime of suffering, Vavilov secured an ark for human civilization to sail into the future. Our story for tonight has concluded. I hope Vavilov's steadfast defense of the truth brings you a measure of solace in the deep of the night. In this turbulent world, some things are more precious than gold and more eternal than power, and that is the respect for the essence of life. Now, please let go of all thoughts, close your eyes, and fall into a deep sleep amidst fields of golden waving wheat. The earth remembers the name of every seed, and it remembers every soul who stood guard over them. Good night.